Are you about to build one of these classic plastic model kits? Which glue is best to use? Let's find out. Hi, welcome back to St Blazing Model World. Well, we all started here, didn't we, really, if we're honest? A Messerschmitt 109, a Spitfire or a Hurricane. These classic Airfix kits were the beginnings of our introduction into this wonderful hobby of a world in miniature, using various skills, components and information. But if we're going to put one of these together and do it properly, which type of glue is best to use? And we can see straight away that this particular kit does come with a small tube of polystyrene cement. And how does it compare, and are there any alternatives, anything that will give us better results? Well, here they are, the two products that we might use to build our Messerschmitt and hopefully get a good result. We've got a polystyrene cement, and this particular one is a Humbrol product. Of course, there's a whole range of these out there. And also we have a Tamiya liquid cement. And again, other makes are available. I just happen to be a fan of Tamiya products. But please be clear, I receive no form of sponsorship or anything else from Tamiya. These are just my personal views and recommendations. So we'll start by looking at the polystyrene cement, the Humbrol, the one in the tube, and then we'll move on to the liquid cement. I have to say right away, I'm not a great fan of the liquid cement, the polystyrene cement solution for gluing these models together. There are quite a few problems with the product. First of all, and it may not show up on camera, this tube has been used. In other words, it has been partially squeezed, and it's a metal tube, and once it has been squeezed you cannot unsqueeze it. So what does that mean? Well, the very first thing it means is that normally you have an amount of glue around the cap and the nozzle. So let's unscrew this now if we can. And so in the cap itself, it looks reasonably clean, but there is some glue there, and apologies if that doesn't show up. This video is being filmed at dusk. But let's look at the nozzle of the tube itself, and you can see straight away, I hope, that some glue is already seeping from the nozzle, and we have a build-up of glue around the thread area where the cap would screw back on. And of course, rightfully you might say, well, why don't you clean it? And you could, and you probably should, but that's not the end of the problems, because if that's the only problem, it might not be such a bad product. So with our glue already seeping from the tube, just hang on one second while we get back into focus, you can see quite an amount of glue has already come out. And I'm only using gravity here, I'm not squeezing this tube. And there is already enough glue here on this piece of cardboard to put 100 models together. But control is hopeless. It comes out of the tube the minute you take the top off. And again, you can see it's still coming out. I'm not squeezing this tube at all. I promise you, you can see it. It's just oozing glue. And so when you try to fix your pilot into your Messerschmitt, one of the things that's going to happen is he's got way too much glue on his bum. I like to blame the government for this. And you might say reasonably, well, what have the government got to do with it? And I would say, well, they didn't prevent it, did they? So control of the flow of glue is very, very difficult. So let's give this tube a little slight squeeze now. And believe me, please, I'm an experienced model maker, and already I've just given that tube just the gentlest of squeezes, and you can see how much glue is flowing out. Another problem I have with this particular type of product is the drying time. Once you've applied your glue, you will have to, of course, remove quite a bit of it, because as we've seen, there is too much glue. But you'll hold your two pieces together for, I don't know, something like 30 minutes and think, oh, it must be dry now, and you'll put it down, and then you'll watch the two pieces separate before your very eyes and wonder what on earth has gone wrong. This type of problem really might seem a small issue, but think about it in the eyes of a younger model maker, somebody new to the hobby. They're going to try this and get very frustrated, very fed up, and walk away from a hobby that could give them so much enjoyment and pleasure. And I just think that's a shame. It's just how I feel about it. So I'm not a great fan of the polystyrene cement. There are situations in where I use it. If I need a reasonable amount of glue to glue two substantial, very substantial pieces together, I might use it. But generally, for me, it's a no. So, are there any alternatives? Well, yes, luckily for us, there is. Liquid cement, much easier to control, and a quicker drying time also, in my experience, and it gives a much more pleasing result to the build of our kit. And that's not to say that you won't need to do some work to the kit once it's built before you paint it, but this minimises the amount of work that you have to do. So once again, we'll unscrew the cap exactly the same as we did with the polystyrene cement. I'll just remove the excess glue from the brush. The area of the cap is actually clean, and likewise the threaded area around the top of the container, so we have no overspill there, and that makes it easier to use right off the bat. Next, let's have a look at product distribution and see how this compares to our tube of polystyrene cement. Well, of course, first, this is on a brush, and if I feel that I have too much glue on the brush when I remove it from the jar, the first thing I can do is remove some straight away by brushing the brush on the lip of the jar. If I want a lot of glue, I just dip the brush into the jar and it's there ready. And so lastly, to make this a fair test, let's look at how this glue could be applied to our plastic model or any other project that we're working on. So we take the top off, the glue is on the brush. I'll just take a little bit of that glue off and apply a thin layer to our cardboard, and there it is. It's very controlled in the flow and the amount of product that I've applied. Also, the drying time much quicker. If I want a lot of glue for any particular reason, I won't brush the brush on the side of the jar. I'll just take it out of the jar. Let's see what we get. Quite a bit of product, and I can still move it around fairly easily with the brush applicator. So there you have it, two products for building our Messerschmitt B109E Airfix 172nd kit, or any other type of plastic kit for that matter. Pay your money, take your choice. Bear in mind this though, the kit that I featured at the start of this video has a price label on it of £7. I didn't pay £7 for it, but you might have done, and you might even have paid a bit more. If you did pay a reasonable amount of money, to me it seems foolish to use a product to put the kit together that doesn't really perform all that well, especially when there are superior alternatives available. Okay, that's it for this video. Again, it's been another short one. Please remember to subscribe. Stay safe in these still difficult times. We look forward to seeing you again very soon here at St Blaise Model World. Bye for now.